I'm going to want silicon in here so that I can make the... Oh, actually, composite is going to need plastic. Actually, does it need steel sheets or plastic sheets for composite? I honestly don't remember. Either way, I'll be able to check in a moment. Right, so we're going to want you here, then fully weld it. You there as well. We will have a full wall, I think.
Hunger caution. So
have a frame there too, going all the way along. I could turn this into a room, technically speaking, for keeping, for capturing the CO2.
Low.
How fast is dehydration kill in this game? Well, I'm not dehydrated yet. It's just I've still got, well, now I am. It will now start to pull my health down for a little bit. But we are past the point where I'm so shy on materials that I need to worry about that. So we will go in and immediately deal with that. But it is not quick. You don't like just fall over dead because you allowed your hydration to reach 0. Your character will start panting because they're effectively taking damage. Turn that off. Actually, what do we have in here? Glass sheets. Bring those back out with me. Let's merge those. Iron walls. We're going to have a lot more of those in a moment. First and foremost, let's gobble down some food. Oh, my helmet's on. Let's take that off first then. My suit off next. I'll have a sip of water. Right, temperature in here is actually quite a, well, I mean, it's a little bit warmer than I would like it personally, but it's 24 degrees and the 76 litres of water slowly absorbing that heat through these 2 radiators. So not bad at all, actually. Not bad at all. Quite pleased with that, in fact. Let's take one cereal bar out of there. Gobble that down. Based on how good the food you've had recently is, like how high grade, you notice the stars above the burger icon to tell me how high the quality of the food I've had. The cereal bars that we come with are a decent quality, but the way that it makes it incentivizes you having higher quality food rather than just subsisting entirely off potatoes, for example, is the higher the quality of food, the more overhydrated you can be, which extends the time before you're going to need to drink again. So right now I'm at 125% hydration. Got 1 potato seed. Let's replant you, and then a potatoes, and we will replant both of you. There we go. They will drink water and start breathing. On that note, what's the 191 moles of oxygen, 30 moles of CO2, 7.4% of my atmosphere is CO2. Terrifying. But we can live with that, thankfully. All right, let me quickly charge the battery on my suit. This ritual of, like, you know, completely resetting my suit environment. Well, except for venting the waste tank right now, because I need to reduce the pressure in here. These walls are only stated up to like 200 kPa. The composite walls that I'm using now out there, they're up to a much more respectable 300 kPa. So I could start being a little bit more loose with how much pressure I release into the environment by venting my waste tank. But it is important that I vent that waste tank from time to time, because not only is that containing oxygen that my suit used in order to cool me down, or rather cycled to make sure I didn't get too hot, but also it's got my waste gas. So, you know, as I'm breathing out CO2, which my plants would very much enjoy having. Only 5.5 degrees in here right now. Not bad. Not bad at all. Thriving towards fruiting. Growing moderately well towards fruiting. Growing moderately well towards fruiting. Interesting. They have mutated. Well, actually, no, they wouldn't have mutated. They're all from the same plant. I wonder why this one in particular is thriving then. Curious. But once I have all of the walls replaced with composite, like all of the windows replaced with composite, then I'll be able to pressurize this base, you know, over 200 kPa in an emergency. Like if I needed to vent my waste gases, but I didn't want to waste the gas, then I could do that. A completely welded in tile is megapascals of pressure. In fact, they might be completely unbreakable. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, though, they're a non-issue when it comes to the pressure they can contain. Nothing else in here really that I want. These are waste. They're just waiting to be recycled at some point. Solid frames can sustain infinite pressure. All right, yeah. Very good to know. Very good to know indeed. But yeah, what we're going to have is frames, solid frames going all the way along here. 2 tiles of complete windows. And also windows there and on the far side as well. Though I could replace that with a composite wall, honestly. Might be tempted to, in fact. Wouldn't be the worst thing. Have we got the battery? Yes, we do. Now, as I was saying, kind of the ritual of refreshing my suit environment serves an extra function, and that is it gives me time outside my suit, which increases my character's it basically increases the character's morale. They don't like being cooped up in this suit all the time. Right, time to head back out. This kind of reminds me of Tin Can as well. It is definitely, it leaves something to be desired, to be fair. I agree. Now, let's pop this one back up here. What do you need next? Plastic sheets required to continue. Okay. So we need plastic sheets for the composites. And then I'm gonna assume, yeah, plastic sheets and glass for all of that. I could just change that one to a regular wall, though. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of having some seclusion. Right, what type of wall do we want? You can sort of see the difference a little bit. Let's go with type 1. Yeah. Just pop that there. Right. Gonna need some bits of plastic then. We'll do the wall and the ceilings first. Okay, begin the print. We're likely going to expand this area out in much the same way. Iron frames along the perimeter. I don't think I'm going to make it wider than this. I'm thinking of taking the base expansions more in this direction. Basically having 2 long rooms side by side. You planning on any astronauts again? Yeah. Definitely. Robo Skyrat says, unsure if this has been changed, but people often encase their furnaces in frames, since the frame will also prevent convection, and thus the furnace won't heat up your stuff, nor will it cool down unless you wanted to. No, that no longer works. There's specifically been a fix to that exploit. Anything that is in a vacuum now bleeds temperature as though exposed to space, effectively. You can no longer just weld something into a solid frame, and it'll still prevent any kind of explosive pressure, like pipes won't burst inside a solid frame even if they're full of ice, for example. But a furnace, and indeed, to my knowledge, pipes as well, if you've got a hot gas inside a pipe that's then welded into a frame, it's going to bleed temperature. It was specific, though it might be code that has been specifically written into furnaces. But yeah, they've fixed that particular exploit. Having a way of perfectly insulating your furnace and thus never having to add more fuel to it. It was a little bit too much. However, you can still affect something nearly as good. It's just you now need to create a stable environment for it. So it's still generally a good idea to box your furnace in. I personally like to use walls and a window so I can look at the furnace while it's doing stuff. But yeah, and then inside that you add I need a bunch of glass. You add a couple of 100 moles or something. Get a reasonable pressure as much as you can of any kind of gas, and then basically the furnace will heat that gas up. That gas, because it's not in a vacuum, it's not welded into a tile, if that gas isn't able to shed its heat to the environment, it holds the heat and thus keeps the temperature at that the furnace at that temperature. But you do need to create basically a either using like back pressure regulators or pumps and IC or something like that. You need to monitor the environment, because obviously as the gas gets hotter, it increases in pressure, and the walls are only stated to a certain amount of pressure. Though realistically, if you had if your frames are, as you said, capable of withstanding infinite pressure, then you could literally just create a box entirely out of fully welded frames with a cavity inside. So you'd effectively create a frame cube, and inside have pipes that deliver a gas up to some pressure level, then deconstruct the pipes, which you can achieve through various means. And with that done, that room effectively becomes completely sealed. You just need chutes to deliver stuff in there. But still, probably easier just to create a pressure control system, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm a big fan of being able to get to any of your buildings and repair them or debug the code or, you know, resolve some sort of problem. If you completely build something in, that's going to cause issues. Oh, I am making more plastic sheets, aren't I? Because I stopped thinking properly. Glass is what we need. There we go. Also, hey, Demi. Oh, look, he's still alive. I am. It's a Christmas miracle. When you say you only need a smidge of an atmosphere, I mean, yes, and we made a furnace box on a previous stream, and our smidge of atmosphere was not enough. We used nitrogen, and it was very much not enough to maintain the heat. It slowly bled that heat out over time. Also, sorry about that alarm, but it is tea break time. Let's go ahead and get these windows in, though. Is it different wiring for logic, or is it shared with power cables? For the furnace, it is shared. In fact, I'm fairly certain. Oh, actually, no. For the advanced furnace, it's not. Sorry. But for the regular furnace, it is, yeah. Pretty sure the only cable for the regular furnace is a data cable. It does not require power. It is deliciously old school. Right. Now, the big test is to find out whether that is going to cause us a lot of problems. And it might. It really might. Okay, so we're going to go in there and we're going to find out if my home is no longer fit for purpose. If I've been evicted by physics. But first, I want 2 steel sheets. Base is still wet. Yep. Thanks for noticing, Demi. There we go. All right. Room is looking ready. Okay. Well, that's us. Go poke our faces in then. And hope very much that my plan is correct. Because if it is not, we're about to lose all of our atmosphere. I am not the sort of gamer who will be like, oh, well, reload. If this happens not because of a bug, but because of my misunderstanding of the game mechanics, that is a legitimate loss. Okay, so do you trust me to have noticed that all of those? You know what? No, I don't trust me to have noticed that. So I'm going to go back out. You see, we've already had that problem when I first created that room. One of the windows wasn't filled in, and I didn't notice. So first, all of the side windows should be very easy to see if they have got glazing. Yep, all glazed. All right. Let's hop up and down. Glazed, 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 glazed. Okay. Good to go. Just make sure my jetpack is currently off. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Well, my smidge of atmosphere was rated to reach a pressure of 150 kPa. Yeah, it's a bit more. Because people were like, oh, you only need a tiny bit. You basically just need an atmosphere. So my smidge of atmosphere was really a smidge. Okay. Moment of truth time. Let us, first and foremost, open this locker. All right, so I can see things that are in there. This is one of the big ones. Watch this. So much is lost by turning that off. The light off, it's even worse. This mod adds so much to it. I love it. All right. Dunk. Well, that being said, honestly, we should probably tone that down a little bit more. Give that one. Womp. Secondary bounce is probably a little bit aggressive here, if I'm honest. Keep it at 5. Okay. Still tweaking the mod to find where I feel that the best realism is achieved. Okay, time to vent. Okay, it's slowing. It's slowing. There we go. That has pulled the pressure down a lot, though. But it is slowed and is more or less stable at this point. Okay. I want to bring that in as well. Okay. That was genuinely a clench moment, I'm not going to lie. There was a distressingly good chance that we were about to vent the base. Or at the very least, I wouldn't have been hugely surprised if that had happened. So I'm extremely pleased that it didn't. Right, let's remove you. I'm going to want my angle grinder next to remove these. And as I have gone to the effort of sealing everything outside there, we could now replace all of these tiles with just steel. If I particularly wanted to. Not sure that I do, though. Right. Okay. Job's a good one. For now. Gonna have to move some things around.
Waste tank caution.
Oh, hished. Oh, actually, no. We can do that now. So, helmet off. Suit off. Battery out. Get you charged. Refill my O2. So much space. Let's make a bigger swimming pool. Why? No. It's not. My O2 is refreshed and... Thunk. There we go. Waste tank sorted. Right, let's have a quick look at the stats for this atmosphere. 83.5 moles of oxygen. I definitely need way more potatoes in order to be producing enough oxygen, like, to have a self-sustaining cycle between my exhalation and their exhalation. In fact, you can calculate it. If we bring that up, potate. This will consume 8.64 moles per hour and produce 8.64 moles per hour. My mood will be greatly lowered if I eat them raw. However, how much? I'm fairly certain the player consumes 0.25. Is it, or is it 0.025? I think. Let me just double check that. I believe that's on the Stationeers wiki. How much O2 do we breathe in? Uh, 0.25 moles per minute. So, as you can see, a single potato, not quite enough to generate the amount of air that I need to breathe in the hour that it will produce 8.64 moles. But we can, plan for that because we've got exact numbers. We can plant enough plants to produce enough O2. You're thriving now. Okay, good. They're all thriving. I think the pressure was a little bit too much, perhaps. Temperature's up to 27 C, which isn't, amazing, but maybe a couple more, a few more radiators would help, but that's going to happen after tea break because it is now time for me to take one. Then we said, we are creatures of the dark. I see. Blaming chat for your mistakes. That's what chat is here for. Well, no, I correct it. That's what you're here for, Bloody Falcon. Alright. That's not as bright as it once was. Oh. It's definitely strong light coming from outside. Have a look. I feel like maybe having the secondary bounce up so high has downplayed. Yeah. I think by having secondary bounce up so much, it causes the
hydration critical.
the glow to be much less obvious. Maybe not that bright though. Oh, at the same time. I don't know. What do you feel, chat? Do you want it to be like this? Strong glow? Secondary bounce makes any light source, really light up an area though. You could leave secondary bounce gain off. Let's increase it up to 0.05. Yeah, let's go with something like that. That makes it much prettier to look at. Okay, need some hydration and need some fooding. Fooding first. Then watering. There we go. All right. Once these are grown, well, I need to start planning how I'm going to move stuff around. I'm thinking that I would actually like this locker to probably be here. The ice and water containers could probably be kept where they're at. That isn't really a problem. I would like atmospherics though. I'm going to want to create a proper coolant system. And I could probably have that now built over here. I would want it to pull nitrogen. Or in fact, I could build it down here or something like that. There's no particular reason why it needs to be against the walls. But let me just pop the light on there. There we go. If we have nitrogen in a pipe exposed to the lunar atmosphere, that should be all that we're going to need to keep this room at any particular temperature, just using a regular AC. Yeah, I think getting atmospherics set up so that I can at least cool the environment is a big and important. Probably do that somewhere over here. I can set up a little canister of nitrogen. That shouldn't be a difficulty. And I'm kind of thinking that what I might want to do is improve this system, make it a bit more robust, such that I can evacuate what's in this tank back into the room, or just have a back pressure regulator to try and control things. For that, I'm going to need to move this locker around. But otherwise, we've got most of the stuff that I'm going to need in here already. Yeah. Okay. So, step one. What I would like to do is get this locker switched places with this. I'm going to move this over here. Or I could perhaps place it over here, actually. That makes a little bit more sense, because I can move that first and then move the locker into that spot. Then I'm going to sort out the windows here. Make them composite windows. I won't need to do that immediately, but I might as well. Likely going to want to replace the flooring with the steel frames. Then set up a nitrogen-based coolant system. I think that makes the most sense for me right now. That way I'll be able to use the filter, which will be over here, to fill a canister with nitrogen out of this environment. Then pump that into the... use that to charge the coolant system. Then have the AC just use that to keep the room nice and temperate. It's 28 degrees. It's rising slowly. I could also, as a stopgap, just if that ends up taking me a little bit too much time to do, I can go ahead and add some more radiators onto the water. So that's my plan for now. So let's go ahead and make that happen. So, first things first. Going to want to set up some... get some steel frames so I can replace the flooring in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steel frames I'm going to want. I am going to want... 1, 2, 3 composite window. Well, you know what? No. We're just going to move this first, I think. I've got enough power in here to do that. I'm going to need another pressure regulator, though. And I'm going to want pretty much all of the filters. So let's go and take care of that. Send that off for now. Don't need it. So, first, want filters. Oh, actually, no. First, I want to hook up my solar panels properly. That was very green. That was, one could say, aggressively green. Maybe having the global illumination gain up at 8 is not the right move. Let's pop it down to... Oh, there we are, 4. We're going to move a couple of the other solar panel bits around. Right. Well, actually. There's no particular reason. If I'm going to have this extra wall section here, why I don't do that? Yeah. And then I move this across there as well. Mind you, it's going to require that I have a bit more room ultimately, but it should be okay. Pop that about there. These 3 can hook up to power using the heavy cables. That frees up this spot for a lot of other things. What is red? I have no idea what's flashing red right now, but it worries me that it's doing so. Right, this is going to cut down a bit on the solar power that I'm generating, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern for me just yet. This will be significantly better wired. Okay. Then we're going to want these to head up. Hey, Evangelos one, how you doing? Thank you so much for the raid. What are we playing? I should really turn on hover mode. With H. There we go. We're playing some Slipstream Rogue Space. Can't say I'm particularly familiar with that one. Come on. There we go. There we are. Sorted. Right, that's all back and wired up. I need one more glass. My shiny gold. Copper in that case, but... glass. We're going to need many more things from that, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Right. There we go. Perfect. Now then, along here... I've got enough iron and... I think I've got iron sheets. Yes, I do. So I'll be able to place windows on the inside here in order to allow me to change the material I'm using on the outside. That part won't be a problem. I've got a couple of places I need to do. I need to do one there so I can replace this with a frame. One there so I can replace this frame with a steel frame. One there so I can do the same here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of those can be turned into steel frames as well. And then it's just a case of replacing the composite windows on the roof and this one wall here, and this one should be a regular composite wall rather than a window. And then this place will be greatly upgraded. But that is not the immediate focus for me. What I require is atmospherics, specifically kit atmospherics, which requires gold and copper. That is amazing. The theme of the day in Slipstream was don't brag about how great the crew is before the run starts because the first 2 ships will be very hard. That said, the crew did destroy both ships, no problem. And it's basically Twitch plays FTL with cute furry avatars. Oh, okay, fair enough. Hover with H? How novel. I know, right? Right, kit atmospherics. Let's pop you right there. Gonna want a bunch of filters. Definitely gonna want nitrogen filters. Actually, can I make the... No, I need constant tan for the upgraded ones. Okay, so I'm gonna want nitrogen. Let's get 2. Didn't need to click that. But... And then we're going to want... Actually, right now, we won't need anything else. Because currently there's no other gases in there that I don't want. How's my suit stuff looking? Could do with a new CO2 filter though. Okay, battery's looking okay still. Okay, I'm also, there's one other thing I need before I go in there. I require a pressure regulator. The reason why I need a pressure regulator is I am effectively going to want to push, be able to evacuate the pipe, not just to prevent it from overpressurizing a canister. I'm going to want to be able to draw atmosphere out of that pipe if I want to switch what I'm filtering for. I don't strictly need to wait for this slow process to be complete, but... Also, if I added some pipes to this, I'd be able to pressurize this area way faster. Right. Got my light on. I do need to get a better light in here, realistically. Right, okay, so first and foremost, let me pop that empty canister there. This can go somewhere around here. Yeah, the air conditioner, I'm not sure where the filter is. Let's see. That's the output. This is the waste pipe. Okay. So with that in mind, frustratingly, it kind of feels like I want it to be visible at the front so I can see the dials. So that's going to mean I'm going to want the waste pipe to go underneath and up on the other side, on the outside. Something like that. This should only be nitrogen in this setup. If I bring it forward and have it in the center here, then I'll be able to have pipes running behind. And either have a freestanding canister filler, or I could place it over there. To be fair, that's probably a better idea. Because then I can have the canister filler on the wall, which would make much more sense to me. All right. Let's move these across. I'm going to want to completely decommission this. Gonna need a wrench for that though, aren't I? Yep. Don't know how I'm going to place that just yet, so we'll just leave that there for now. Going to want to vent this. The reason why I want to pull that up first is so that I can connect this pipe there and allow all of the pressure that's in this pipe out without wasting it. Because this is pure O2, which is rather precious to me. As you can see, the gas is moving around a little bit there. You want to be very, very careful doing this because the same tool will pull up the floor as I'm using to remove the pipes. Though in our particular instance, that's part of the reason why that out there is also sealed. So we have a little bit of additional protection. Not a lot though. That is a volume pump. Won't be needing that one. Right, at this stage, we want to pull you down. Right. Get the pipes out of there. And I think now it is the drill. Right, there you go. So, over here, I want this to be able to filter gases up onto into a canister of some kind. Specifically, I want to be able to both pull gases out of that pipe network and also prevent them from ever reaching a dangerous pressure inside the network. If I do it here, then this gives me ample room to run pipes around the side. We're going to want that about here. There we go. That's as far as I can guarantee. But I'm going to want that set up. Now, where are my pressure regulators? Let's grab this one. Hey, Fizbic, how you doing? So, I want a back pressure regulator here. And I would also like... Oh God, I really wish they would face the other way. I wish you could control the way they face. Actually, no, I don't want a pressure regulator thinking about it. I want a pump. That was very silly of me. Either way, though, in both instances, I'm going to have to run the cabling in an awkward way. That is now the filtered gas. There we go. That whole system, the gas moving is because it now has access to these pipes, so it's flowing into them. Currently, we're going to keep it set up for O2, but I'm going to need to go and get 2 new pipes in order to hook that up properly. A little bit vexing, but certainly not the worst that we've had to deal with so far. If I'm going to move that over here, then obviously I need to shift this somewhere else. But I'm not necessarily hopelessly against running it down along the seam. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a gigantic fan of having power run like that, but I could always put the charger over there. For right now, let's just get that out of the way. Still not quite on the ball with my wiring, I must confess, and my keyboard controls and shortcuts. But I feel that I'm slowly, ever so slowly getting better. I think we've got 2 ports at the back here. I may as well wire both of them up. You know what? This is kind of the whole point of me having the ability to go underground. So am I resisting it? One downside, though, is that I would need to weld it to put it back. Which does suck a bit. But again, it's not the worst. It will introduce some pollutants to the room, though, which I would have liked to avoid. But it's not going to be something I can avoid forever, so...
Hunger caution.
That's part of why I'm creating this system, so I can evacuate the pipes, so I can have it double as a pollutants filter. Let's try and get you through here, if I can. Now, can I see enough? Just get that last little bit hooked up. Come on, I've got to be able to. Come on. Yeah. There we go. Wired. Perfect. So, I could have used a ferret for this job. Yes, I could have used a ferret for this job. You are quite right. I want that to evacuate at maximum power when I set it up. This one, though, I want set to... I could use a laborer for this, but I'm going to be lazy. Set this again to 5.5 for my regular canisters. That will do. Is there anything else I'm going to need from here? Not yet. Also, I shouldn't have been running around in my suit environment, really. That was silly. Okay. Well. Yeah, that's running along there. That's going to be a bit of an issue for me. To connect up to that, then I would need to run along the bottom if I'm going to put anything over there, and I'm going to have to put things over there. All right. Let's take my helmet off for a second. It's a bit late now, I know, but... Filter off, air off, AC off. We need the battery. Can't actually charge the battery, never mind. In fact, can't do much with it right now. This is going to cause so... It's going to cause an explosion of gubbins, which is exceedingly unpleasant to imagine. I love how this mod is, well, the seams of it, noting that I was carrying a large panel of reflective plastic. So it was suddenly illuminating the contents of the locker. Kinda cool.